Like a maelstrom, but free of malice, it tears across our world. When you face it, I ask that you see it for all that it is.
The world of Monster Hunter holds many mysteries. A land so vast and storied is bound to hide many different secrets, just waiting to be uncovered. One such part of this world that remains puzzling to all is the existence of creatures beyond the understanding of the Hunters Guild. Beings whose breath beckons the storms, whose steps tear the earth, whose rage immolates the soul. For time immemorial, all living things have bowed to these most powerful of all monsters, elder dragons. But what are they, truly? Throughout history, humans and Wyverians have told stories about their encounters with elder dragons. Creatures of such incredible power and majesty that they bend the ecosystems around them to their wills, using unbelievable abilities. However, for much of history, people lacked the ability to describe and research these mysterious beings, resorting to crude drawings and folkloric tellings at the time. It was only through the emergence of hunters' guilds and their mobilization of research efforts that a clearer picture of elder dragons began to emerge. Our most recent definition of elder dragons comes from the book Monster Hunter World: The Official Complete Works, and reads as follows. The term elder dragon is not actually a biologically determined classification. They are life forms that defy modern logic and knowledge, and are often referred to as natural disasters due to their unique, special abilities. While a number of elder dragons share characteristics, such as a quadrupedal movement, wings sprouting from their back, and a horned head, there are also individuals, such as the recent Zora Magdaros, who do not appear to have horns or functioning wings. Furthermore, we believe that their blood contains the basis of dragon elemental power, but there's still much to learn before we can draw any conclusions. Another, shorter definition is included in Hunter's Encyclopedia 2, which states, elder dragons are creatures that can so far not be classified into any extant taxon, and even basic facts about their physiology and ecology are uncertain. Their existence has, however, been confirmed beyond question. What we do know is that elder dragons are unique among all living creatures in this world. One thing that echoes through both of these descriptions is the mystery inherent to elder dragons. From ecology to behavior, nearly nothing is known about these walking calamities. Only through the accumulation of small, incidental details are the hunters of the guild, and we, able to identify a few common traits between these creatures. The most obvious characteristic of elder dragons is their sheer power. Often likened to living natural catastrophes, a single elder dragon can bring ruin to an entire ecosystem. The effect this can have on the environment is profound. The New World Research Commission, for example, has to constantly redraw their maps because the continent keeps changing shape due to the frequent elder dragon appearances. This impact is produced by the many inexplicable abilities the dragons possess, many of them openly violating all that we consider known about the laws of nature. the Teostra is continuously shrouded in a mantle of invisible fire, melting the flesh off any that approach it. The Kushala Daora commands the wind through means unknown, storms following in its wake. Some elder dragons have abilities that might seem familiar, but exist outside the known limits of the possible nonetheless. For example, while various regular monsters are known to use the thunder element, only the elder dragon Kirin is capable of outright summoning levin bolts from the sky. Another facet of their immense power is their seemingly unnatural vitality. Elder dragons are said to have extremely long lifespans, stated to live on for centuries. We also know of at least one elder dragon, the Nergigante, which can use this immense life force to heal its wounds and regenerate its body rapidly, further illustrating the otherworldly powers these creatures possess. Beyond their powerful abilities, very little is known for sure about elder dragon physiology. What is clear is that their bodies do not work the same as those of other creatures. For example, one of the few cases of recorded elder dragon feeding behavior is that of the flame dragons, Teostra and Lunastra, which seemingly sustain themselves by devouring ore and coal. Other cases include the Gogmazios, which seems to be attracted by gunpowder, and the Nergigante and Geismagorm, which feed directly on life energy. The insides of elder dragons are equally mysterious, full of anatomical oddities, such as the Kushala Daora's metallized exoskeleton, which fuses so seamlessly into its flesh that it is hard to define where one tissue ends and the other begins. Additionally, their blood is stated to be special, described as containing an unknown component that empowers it. While Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate simply calls this component an unknown ingredient, it is possible that it might be some kind of mineral. That's because the Chameleos has been discovered to have traces of fusium ore in its body, including in its blood. But the exact nature or purpose of this mysterious ingredient remains so far unknown. As alluded to in the quoted definition of elder dragons before, the guild also believes that their blood might be related to the mysterious dragon element in some way. This is peculiar due to the fact that many elder dragons are actually weak to the dragon element and will suffer greatly when exposed to it. As far as guild science is concerned, elder dragon is not, strictly speaking, a biological taxon, and is instead a sort of waste bin classification, used by the guild to categorize creatures that fit nowhere else on the Tree of Life. This might also be why creatures like Rajang and Deviljho are not considered elder dragons. While they certainly have the power to rival some elders, they also both have direct confirmed relatives that are part of regular monster taxonomy. I want to stress that this isn't the canonical reasoning for their exclusion, but it seems possible based on this defining characteristic. Another core reason why elder dragons are sectioned off into this odd classification is their unique body build. They tend to have 4 legs and 2 wings, totaling up to 6 limbs and a tail. While this is not entirely consistent across the entire classification, it is shared by a vast majority of the monsters in this group. The early encyclopedias put a big emphasis on this trait specifically, for example implying that Lao Shan Lung used to have wings that degenerated over time. The books overall propose that elder dragons might have sprung forth from an entirely separate evolutionary path than all wyvern, and that their 6-limbed body plan might be the clue to that origin. But Any attempt at conclusively classifying and describing elder dragons must contend with the reality that the vast majority of them remain completely mysterious. The knowledge presented thus far is just a fragmented glimpse at these beings, painstakingly pieced together by the Guild through the extremely limited research opportunities that have revealed themselves. One reason that researching elder dragons is so difficult is that they are extremely rare. While hunters and researchers broadly know of their existence, many of them will live and die without ever encountering even one. The rare encounters with elder dragons are thus pored over and studied tirelessly, and every time some new, inconceivably bizarre piece of knowledge is gathered in its wake. For example, it has been discovered that elder dragons live on a sort of cycle, changing between periods of increased activity and periods of passive inactivity. What exactly they do during their inactive periods, or why they even live on such a rhythm in the first place, is entirely unknown. A curious detail is that while they rest during their inactivity, a unique plant called dragon vine will begin growing on the spots the dragons laid upon. What this means is anyone's guess. One specific phenomenon related to elder dragon activity that has, however, been extensively studied is the elder crossing. This migration event sees various aging elder dragons travel to the New World in order to perish near or in the Rotten Vale. As the dragons decompose, their bountiful life energy and nutrients contained within them are absorbed by the Vale and redistributed across the continent via the Everstream, giving rise to new life and rejuvenating the ecosystem. This process was at one point artificially accelerated by Safi'jiiva, a budding elder dragon that fed on the energy of the dying dragons and developed a pheromone signal to summon the dying elder dragons more frequently. But even prior to Safi'jiiva's appearance and after its slaying, the elder crossing persisted. Something else calls these expiring dragons to the Rotten Vale. What that might be is not for us to know, it seems. Another case of the bizarre abilities of elder dragons raising more questions is the matter of resonance. In the defining example of this power, the celestial serpent dragons, Narwa and Ibushi, displayed the ability to resonate with two Wyverian maidens, taking control of them for short periods of time and communicating with each other through them. How this works, as well as if other elder dragons are capable of doing it, remains a complete mystery for now. As a result of their power and mystery, humanity has long since struggled to reconcile the existence of elder dragons with their own. In the earliest days of recorded history, people turned to worshipping these creatures, because, frankly, what else do you do when you encounter a being whose roars split the very skies? Such was the case with the jungle people who worshipped Kushala Daora, praying to it in their large ritual halls. For unknown reasons, however, they would eventually turn on their deity and battle it to banish the elder dragon out from their homeland. This turnaround also hints at the other major role elder dragons have played in human culture. While some worshipped them, some also understood them as existential threats and sought to repel or even slay them. A dragon that quite commonly caused issues for humans was the Laoshan Lung, a gargantuan creature that periodically migrates by walking for miles, crushing everything in its path. The danger of such a dragon approaching a village is immense, and so many fortresses and walls were erected along known Lao paths to help divert the creature away from populated areas. But perhaps the quintessential example of the threat elder dragons pose to humanity is the tragedy of Shrade. Sometimes called the Great Dragon Disaster, it is an ancient story of the once grand kingdom of Shrade being burned to ash in a single night by a single dragon. What is true of this tale, and what is myth emerging from the fog of history, is at this point impossible to determine. But the undeniable fact remains that the Shrade Kingdom now only exists as smoldering ruins, a burned scar in the land that separates the modern East and West Shrade countries harshly. Power like that is terrifying, but also tantalizing. While uncommon, there are also stories of people attempting to claim the power of elder dragons for themselves. Through armor descriptions, we hear of the Welkin, ancient priests from the region of Yukumo, who were said to be able to tame elder dragons through unknown means. But while we do not know the end results of these ambitions, we are told in no uncertain terms that the desire to possess elder dragons always leads to disaster. An in-universe belief that partially inspires the fact that elder dragons cannot be captured by guild hunters. But not all interactions between humans and elder dragons are marred by fearful reverence. Some are in fact downright joyous. The appearance of the Gen Moran in the Great Desert is cause for festivities and merriment in nearby villages and towns, for example. This is due to the rare and valuable ores that grow on the dragon's back. Adventurers risk life and limb to climb onto its gigantic back and claim these riches for themselves, a tradition that has given rise to a unique relationship between the desert hunters and the Gen Moran. One way or another, it was clear that humanity would have to find a way to coexist with elder dragons if they were to survive. A key problem that needed solving was how to predict the appearances of elder dragons in order to warn villages in time and develop counter-strategies. A few hundred years ago, that solution was found in the creation of the Dragon Watch. Founded by the Grand Elder of Dundorma, the Dragon Watch is an organization dedicated to the tracking and research of elder dragons. Using their surveyor balloons and communicating via carrier birds, these scholars, themselves called dragon seers, keep a watchful eye over the lands, alerting both Dundorma and surrounding areas of any elder dragon activity. Their headquarters has since become one of the foremost sources of monster knowledge, bringing humanity one step closer to understanding its place in the ecosystem. But even so, elder dragons continue to elude our voracious grasp for knowledge. For every discovery, 10 new questions arise. For every concrete fact known about them, there are a dozen legends and myths that seem impossible to square with reality. And so, they remain subjects of much speculation and mythology. Are they merely powerful animals, or embodiments of nature's wrath? Are they guardians of the ecosystem, or indifferent destroyers? One of the most interesting interpretations of the role that elder dragons play comes from the Third Fleet commander in Monster Hunter World. In a rare dialogue sequence, she ponders that elder dragons might not even exist. Instead, she proposes that what we call elder dragons might be our brains trying to interpret our encounters with something else. abstract tendrils of some unknowable, eldritch entity that our minds cannot comprehend, instead deluding us into seeing them as various kinds of dragons, shielding us from the terrible truth behind those scales. I must stress that this is presented as an absurd proposition, even in universe. She herself calls it nonsense. Still, it remains a fascinating idea. Thank you for watching, and happy hunting. Thank you to all of you who are subscribed on Patreon and YouTube channel memberships. I want to especially thank Theopuz, Lufish, Morgulblank, Tactywolf, Thyla Zero, Glitchy, Jacob Coleman, Hellbug Hunter, Shebo, M1Have12, Regal Eagle, Wronger97, Quali, Matt Hat 124, My Name Gone, The Dollarfish, Sheba, King Dre, Ryan Hook, Veraxis, Thick, Kuroneko, Zion HV Augenson, Alistair, Jacob the Numbnut, Soruka, Sir Newt Newt, Evie, Rambling Robin, Hashi, Black Ace 202, Dissy, Humbo Himbro Mirror, Magenta Magenta, Russell, Vulgar Beast, Person 212, Claire Miboon, Oakwood Tree, Mr. Pyramid, Makot02, Geo, Nils Schlatter, Iron Camel, and I'm going to bed. Take care everyone, see you next time.